Okay, and we are live. So right now I am joined with Sv3rige. We discussed this through email. The debate is just going to revolve around which diet is healthier, Sv3rige's raw meat diet or a vegan diet. So basically, I think overall, a plant-based diet approach is just healthier to a meat-based diet approach. And I think the best place to start is with the most common cause of death, heart disease. A typical issue with meat-based dieting, you're getting a lot of saturated fat and cholesterol, and that drives up your serum cholesterol score, both your total cholesterol and LDL. So right here, paper association between plant-based diet and plasma lipids, a systematic review and meta-analysis. So if you just go down to the study findings, the conclusions, plant-based diets are associated with decreased total cholesterol, low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, and high-density lipoprotein cholesterol, but not with decreased triglycerides. So you do see that plant-based diets are associated with, lower LDL cholesterol, and that's because, typically they're lower in saturated fat and obviously free of cholesterol. So this is important. Let me go to the paper. So this is important because low-density lipoproteins have a direct causal relationship with heart disease. So this is basically the best, most comprehensive paper I've come across. This is a consensus statement from the European Atherosclerosis Society consensus panel. So basically, what they looked at was the totality of evidence from genetic studies, prospective epidemiological cohort studies, Mendelian randomization studies, and randomized trials of LDL-lowering therapies. So if you scroll down a little bit more, let's see, where does this start? Okay, so separate meta-analyses of over 200 prospective cohort studies, Mendelian randomization studies, and randomized trials, including more than 2 million participants with over 20 million person-years of follow-up, and over 150,000 cardiovascular events demonstrate a remarkably consistent dose-dependent log linear association between the absolute magnitude of exposure of the vasculature to LDL-C and the risk of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. And this effect appears to increase with increasing duration of exposure to LDL-C. So essentially, a systematic review and meta-analysis of over 200 meta-analyses of perspective data, clinical studies, randomized trials, genetic studies. It all shows that elevated LDL plays a causal role in heart disease risk. And obviously, plant-based diets, they tend to be low in saturated fat and cholesterol. They tend to lower your serum cholesterol. So therefore, they are associated with a low risk of heart disease. And I can show like results from the Adventist cohorts where, again, vegans had the lowest risk of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. So that's one of the reasons, that's the main reason I'd recommend a vegan or plant-based diet.
All right, cool. Yeah, hi everybody. Did you know that the main purpose of LDL is to carry energy to the cells?
Okay, like I can agree with that. I mean, LDL has a lot of purposes in the body, carrying energy. It makes up cell membranes, a lot of different things. The issue is there's a certain amount that you want to have in circulation. So once you go above a certain amount, that's where problems begin.
All right, so this is what you want to talk about, because I want to talk about something completely else, because obviously I'm not going to read hundreds of studies right now, and we're not going to get anywhere if we just give studies to each other. So, because you know that I can't go and read it right now.
Okay.
So I respect what you showed, but I could only possibly read it after the debate, so it's kind of useless.
Okay, well, fair enough. But did you actually have an argument as to why you think cholesterol is not a risk factor for heart disease?
This is what you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Like, I mean, health is a broad topic. So, we can cover heart disease, diabetes, cancer, just mortality, aging in general. So I just wanted to start off with, discussion on heart disease. and one of the principal risk factors of heart disease because it's the leading cause of death worldwide. So if you can, reduce your risk of, heart disease, you massively reduce your risk of dying. So that's one of the most relevant things to talk about if we're going to discuss what's healthier, a vegan or, a raw meat-based diet.
Yeah, that's all fine. It's just that I have a video, for example, which is called "Saturated Fat is Optimal for Health." Is the key to optimal health, where it proves, and that's also compiled with many studies, that the higher cholesterol, the lower your risk for heart disease, and the higher your longevity. So just interchanging studies right now is not going to get us anywhere.
Okay, well, I will just say that is demonstrably false for a few reasons. So again, let me just turn on screen share. So whoops, that's the wrong one. Okay, so again, this consensus paper from the European Atherosclerosis Society, they went through meta-analyses of Mendelian randomization studies. So what Mendelian randomization studies are is they look at a set of different genes that people have, and some people have gene mutations that significantly lower their serum cholesterol. So some people, their cholesterol is low, not because of any dietary changes or like exercise or any kind of lifestyle factors. They tend to have low cholesterol just because of their genes. So when you compare people who have genetically low cholesterol to people who genetically have normal cholesterol, the people with genetically low cholesterol avoid heart disease and they tend to live longer than people who basically have normal cholesterol genes, so to speak. So no, if you take a look at basically the best research available on this topic, low LDL, regardless of the cause, whether it's from genetic factors, dietary, lifestyle-related factors, you avoid disease and death.
Right, I get what you're saying, and I've researched and I found otherwise. My point is that we're just not going to get anywhere with this.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, I'd actually like to see the research. If you have a video on the topic, why don't you just pull up some of the research from that video?
All right, sure. Do you want me to link it to you?
Sure. I can.
Okay. So, also, in the meantime, while I'm searching, do you know what Smith-Lemli-Opitz syndrome is?
Yes, I'm well aware. I've actually done a video on that topic.
Right. So what would you do about those people? Would you want them to die for the animals, or would you feed them animal foods? Because they can't create any cholesterol at all. They would die without animal foods.
Okay, so for one thing, they can create cholesterol. It's just that their cholesterol production is massively inhibited because they're missing. It's a long, wordy name, but they're basically missing an enzyme that's required in one of the steps to produce cholesterol. So they can still produce cholesterol, but it's severely inhibited. Some people with Smith-Lemli-Opitz syndrome actually have normal cholesterol levels that are in the normal range, even though it tends to be lower. So if you actually take a look at the research on Smith-Lemli-Opitz, most of the researchers actually think the neurological issues, a lot of the health problems caused by Smith-Lemli-Opitz, it's a buildup of some of the esters involved in the creation of cholesterol. Some of these esters can build up to thousands of times, in a concentration that's thousands of times higher than normal. And that can have like a toxic effect on basically your brain, certain parts of your body. So one of the methods to treating Smith-Lemli-Opitz is actually to administer cholesterol-lowering medication, because cholesterol-lowering medication, it reduces the buildup of these esters, and that actually improves symptoms of Smith-Lemli-Opitz. So
are you denying that there's people who can't create any cholesterol at all? You're saying that all of them can create a little bit? Because that's not true.
As far as I know, all of them can create cholesterol, just to a limited degree. But you should also know most people who have Smith-Lemli-Opitz die before they're even born. So possibly there are some that their cholesterol synthesis is so massively inhibited that they just end up dying very, very early on. But like I said, Smith-Lemli-Opitz, it doesn't seem to, like the disease, it seems to have more of the buildup of these esters that are responsible for the creation of cholesterol. That seems to be a bigger problem than just the lack of cholesterol itself, because again, you can find people with Smith-Lemli-Opitz syndrome who have cholesterol levels in the normal range. Actually, let me see if I can go back. I didn't prepare to discuss this exact topic, but let me see if I can find a bit of research here for you. So did you have anything to say to that?
No, it's just going to take a while for me to read it. I don't think we're going to get anywhere far in this whole debate if we're just going to be reading stuff now. My whole point is that there are people who can't create cholesterol, and they do require animal foods because of that, because you can't have such super low cholesterol, even if you can create a tiny bit. So my whole question is, do you not care about them? Do you not care about their human health?
Okay, well, again, there are actually ways to treat Smith-Lemli-Opitz without actually feeding them animal foods, and one of the most effective treatments is to give cholesterol-lowering medication. Even though that's... Sorry?
Where's the logic?
Okay, well, the logic is
that they should have healthy, if you're talking about LDL or just cholesterol levels.
Sorry?
They should have healthy cholesterol levels. You can't have a level of 10 cholesterol and be healthy, or have no cholesterol at all, because you would just simply die. You couldn't even make cells without cholesterol.
Okay, so Sv3rige, again, people with Smith-Lemli-Opitz, they can produce cholesterol. It's just that the cholesterol production is severely limited. Now, obviously, in some circumstances at least, the limitation they have with cholesterol production, it definitely would cause some health issues. But the principal issue with Smith-Lemli-Opitz appears to be the buildup of sterols. Sorry, I misused the term. I said something else. So there's a buildup of these sterols that are used to produce cholesterol. So I'll just screen share again. So this is a paper on Smith-Lemli-Opitz. So when you look at research on Smith-Lemli-Opitz, you'll notice that it's typically referred to a sterol disorder, not a disorder with cholesterol synthesis, or like a low cholesterol disorder. It's typically referred to as a sterol disorder because the lack of this enzyme. So I think it's called DHC. I think that's the enzyme. So the lack of this enzyme causes a buildup of these sterols that are sometimes thousands of times higher than they would normally be, and that seems to be causing some of the issues. So this is a review, and they review some of the treatments for Smith-Lemli-Opitz, and they actually use statin treatment in the treatment of Smith-Lemli-Opitz. So statins are a cholesterol-lowering medication. So what these cholesterol-lowering medications do is they reduce the buildup of these sterols, which in high doses seem to be toxic and cause some of the issues with Smith-Lemli-Opitz disease. So they do use cholesterol therapy. So you can either give people dietary cholesterol, and there are actually cholesterol supplements that happen to be vegan. There are also bile acid supplements, and there's other like medical therapies.
Wait, where do you get cholesterol as a? Where would you get it? It comes from animals. It's an animal fat, pretty much.
You can actually make a cholesterol supplement that is vegan.
From where? What's the source?
I'm not sure how it's made, but there is actually a cholesterol supplement that is vegan.
It's an animal lipid. There is no such thing. Why do you lie?
I'm not lying. No, you
100% are.
No, look,
this is the same thing as in the last debate. You have no source for anything you say. You're simply lying.
No, look, Sv3rige, I've seen you make this claim about vitamin A. Like vitamin A, yeah, it's an animal vitamin. Only animals have it, but you can synthesize it.
There are ways we can get into that, but I'm talking specifically about that right now. It's an animal lipid. Where are you going to get it? From a plant?
I'm not entirely sure how it's made, but
you don't know. Yeah, that's my whole point. You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, no, I don't know how they synthesize synthetic cholesterol, but I do know they make vegan cholesterol supplements. for Smith-Lemli-Opitz. They don't get it
Okay,
from
it's an
animals.
animal lipid, Richard.
Right,
It's
right.
not vegan. Okay.
Okay. I know that plants don't normally produce it on their own, but there are ways to synthesize it, unnaturally.
Yeah, you have no proof, so let's just move on from this.
Okay,
You lost
well, let me
this
see if
one.
I can, let me see if I can do a quick Google search. Vegan cholesterol supplement. Okay, so they make cholesterol tablets. Let's see. That's interesting. Okay. Wait a second. I think I might have found something here. Okay. All right. Okay. So I don't know. I'm just looking online real quick. Apparently, you can synthesize cholesterol using phytosterols. It's some sort of chemical process.
Right, and you have no proof how it works. You have no idea how they make it. You have no idea if it even works in the human body. You have zero proof for any of it. So why do you even mention it?
Well, what do you mean?
Yeah, there's never this is not something that's been studied. You're simply saying there is something.
Well,
You're
yes,
just
it has been
this is
studied.
just an appeal to pharmaceutical companies. This is not proof. This is just black
That's
or
not an
white.
appeal to pharmaceutical companies. I'm telling you, one of the main treatments for Smith-Lemli-Opitz is actually giving them cholesterol-lowering medication. And it's because it's a sterol disease. It's typically referred to as a sterol disease, not a disease that's caused by low serum cholesterol. Because again, there are people with Smith-Lemli-Opitz who have serum cholesterol in the normal range. The issue seems to be with the buildup of these sterols.
Yeah, I get
So,
it. That's not what I mean. I'm
okay,
talking about those cholesterol supplements, which are supposedly
well,
vegan.
right. Well, right.
So you're
So
never going to
one
prove
of
this one.
okay, well, wait. One of the treatments for Smith-Lemli-Opitz is to give them high doses of cholesterol, like feed them eggs, butter, things like that. And another is to give them cholesterol supplements. And as far as I'm aware, these supplements are vegan. They're just made from different sterols that are where they're introduced to a certain enzyme through some chemical process, and then it creates something that mimics animal cholesterol.
All right, exactly. It may mimic. That has nothing to do with actual animal lipids. So you just prove that they don't work, because then there would be a
No.
study that would show that they work. Of course, they don't work. Most
Okay.
supplements are fake.
Okay, well, they are used for the treatment of Smith-Lemli-Opitz, and I will grant you, the research I have seen, they don't seem to work quite as well as animal cholesterol.
All right. Anyway, this is going
Okay,
nowhere.
well, Sverige, you brought up Smith-Lemli-Opitz to make a point that low serum cholesterol causes disease, correct?
Yeah. Do you also have you ever seen my video about this? Do you know what the gene is that's 1 out of 100 people have? It's called in Eastern Europe. It's called 7-dehydrocholesterol reductase. It's when you
Yep.
also can't make cholesterol or very little also.
Okay, well, you need two alleles, two of the alleles to actually have Smith-Lemli-Opitz. If you're a carrier, if you're a single allele carrier, this doesn't affect you.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that specific gene in
Yeah,
Eastern
I know.
Europe.
I actually am aware, and it's. I think the going theory is it has something to do with vitamin D synthesis, which is why, in climates where it tends to be, less sunny, it seems to be a little more prevalent. And that it's actually theorized right now to be a cause of a lot of prenatal, basically, what do you call it? Miscarriages.
Yeah.
Smith-Lemli-Opitz. So a lot of people think that because the frequency of this allele is so high in these populations, it's actually responsible for a lot of miscarriages. So a lot of people who have Smith-Lemli-Opitz, they just die before birth. So that might be a reason for a lot of miscarriages. But the point you were making overall is that low cholesterol is associated with disease, correct? Is that why you brought up Smith-Lemli-Opitz?
Yes, of course, but I'm talking about specific cases where people have mutated genes or just simply different genes who can't create any or very little. I'm specifically talking now about the 7-dehydrocholesterol reductase. And that's in Eastern Europe. In Eastern Europe, it's 1 out of 30 people. So if they don't eat animal foods, they get seriously sick and die. My whole point is, do you care about human beings, which everybody knows you don't, or would you feed them animal foods to heal them, or would you just simply watch them die, which is obviously what you would like?
Okay, well, first of all,
Wait,
sorry.
Can you enable slow mode in the chat?
Slow mode?
Yeah,
What's
it's
that?
in the setting where you're streaming. Where's your stream thing?
Oh, let me go into my manager.
Sorry, it's just
Yeah, sure.
There's 3,000 people in the chat. So
Oh wow, okay. Holy shit. Okay. Sorry about this. Just give me a second. Live streaming.
So it's in the dashboard. You should have stayed in the dashboard of the live stream.
What do you mean?
No, that's not the dashboard. Okay, and then press setting there.
Where?
Just go in the chat box there, and I think
there?
It should be
Manage toggle, no.
Scroll up. I can't see shit. Can you move it to the other side? I can't read anything.
Okay.
Scroll up. Okay, I think you might have to do this. Live controller. Go to influence settings.
Okay, there's nothing there.
What about advanced settings?
Enable slow mode.
Oh, there. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so sorry about that. Where were we again? What were you asking?
Yeah, about Eastern Europe, 1 out of 30, the people can make very little to no cholesterol. Do you care about would you feed them animal foods?
Okay, 7-DHC, that's the gene that causes Smith-Lemli-Opitz. You need to carry 2 alleles. If you're a single allele carrier, that doesn't actually affect cholesterol metabolism.
Yes, so that's not my point. I'm just saying, if it does, what do you do about them?
Okay, well, one of the treatments is to actually give cholesterol-lowering medications. That seems to be a more beneficial treatment strategy.
You just completely lost this one. Anybody sane can see that. You're just
okay,
completely
well,
ignoring
look, okay, so look, I can share this again. Oh wait, I think I might have, let me see. No, I think this is it. So, okay, I might have changed. Which one was it? Okay, I lost where I was. Oh yeah, there we go. Statin therapy. So again, if you read this review, treatment of Smith-Lemli-Opitz syndrome and other sterile disorders. So it's referred to as a sterile disorder. So it's not referred to as a low cholesterol disorder. It's referred to as a sterile disorder because the primary issue with Smith-Lemli-Opitz seems to be a buildup of these sterols, not a lack of cholesterol.
Okay,
and
we don't need to go over this 100 times.
Sorry?
That's not my
and
point.
One of the ways so Sv3rige, one of the ways to treat Smith-Lemli-Opitz is with cholesterol-lowering medication because it gets rid of the buildup of these sterols.
Okay.
And again, there are bile acid supplements. There is dietary cholesterol therapy. So you can either give people actual cholesterol from animal foods or give them a supplement. And from the research I've read, the most effective treatment for Smith-Lemli-Opitz is to give them cholesterol-lowering medication.
Okay, so you mentioned animal foods, so you do agree that there's people out there who do need to eat animal foods?
I wouldn't say need to, but people with Smith-Lemli-Opitz, they do seem to, on average, get a benefit from eating some animal foods.
Right.
I think it would be...
That's my whole point.
Right, okay.
All right. Did you check out the link?
Okay, where did you link it?
In the Hangouts.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so you linked research in here?
So it's at 1729. It's a video that I posted 2 years ago, and it's part of a presentation. It's simply presenting some studies compiled. Because you were talking before about the heart disease, and I was saying that I found out something else. So we have simply come to different conclusions from different research, which is my whole point is that you're not going to get anywhere with this anyway, but you can see one of the reasons why I got to my conclusion if you want to, and then we can move on from that.
Okay, so I'm looking at your video, cholesterol and deaths. So this is on this on the y-axis. This is deaths per 100,000. On the x-axis, this is mean cholesterol, so that's millimoles per liter. Now, I'm not familiar with millimoles per liter. The thing is, this is just this just isn't very great data to go on. This isn't like a randomized trial. This isn't like a prospective cohort. And if how do I put this?
You were talking about
All of these-
epidemiological studies, which have
Right.
pretty much zero meaning. No scientist even takes those serious.
No.
This is way better in that sense.
Okay, well, what do you mean? This is epidemiological.
Yeah, but well, yeah, it's both the same essentially. Then
Okay, so you're admitting that your own data is useless?
no, why? I'm just saying we're not going to get anywhere with this.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, they're like, this is a line of best fit, but look at the R squared value. It's 0.133. So basically, there's a 13% accuracy here for the line of best fit. So this isn't great. This isn't great evidence, is my
Yes,
point.
right. Everything that is contrary to your belief is not great evidence.
No. So Sv3rige,
But there is evidence. So it's just we're not going to get anywhere by showing.
Okay, well, no,
each other.
Sv3rige, I can actually show you better evidence than this.
Yeah, but what's the point right now if I can't read it right now?
Okay, well, you can read it right now.
Yeah, but
do you want me to explain? Do you want me to explain the issue with this chart?
Sure.
Okay, so right here you have an R squared value. So basically what this shows is the line of best fit, and it shows the accuracy of the line of best fit. So obviously, if you want to draw a straight line through the data, you try to draw a straight line that hits as many data points as possible. So there's only about I think the R squared is 0.18. So it's like, would that would be like, that's not like below 20% accuracy. So there's a below 20% accuracy for this line of best fit. So like the prediction that you can get from this data is just very, very poor. So let me bring up another study here. So if you take a look at optimal low density lipoprotein, 50 to 70 milligrams per deciliter, lowers better than physiologically normal. So if you look at randomized trial data, let's go here. So I believe this is primary prevention. So this is all data from different randomized trials where they used cholesterol lowering therapy to see if they could lower someone's cholesterol, decrease the risk of having a first heart attack. So if you take a look at the line of best fit here, the R squared value is 0.9305. So there's over a 90% accuracy for this line. So this is randomized trial data. It's considered more accurate data than a survey or a prospective study. And the line of best fit here gives you over a 90% accuracy. So based on better research, cholesterol lowering therapy seems to reduce your risk of suffering a first heart attack. So the data you linked, it just doesn't give you a very good prediction. It's a very, very low level of prediction.
All right. Do you want to move on from this? Because this was your point. And I
sure.
Okay, because like I said, I don't care about them. We're not going to get anywhere.
Sure.
All right. So can we agree, just like you last time when we had the debate 2 years ago, indirectly did that the vegan diet is the least nutritious diet there is?
Okay. Why is it the least nutritious?
You don't remember because it doesn't have over 50 nutrients. There is no other diet that doesn't have it.
Okay, why don't you name some of those nutrients?
You forgot, yeah? Okay, so there's vitamin A, it's an animal vitamin. There's two B6s, B12, D, which is an animal hormone. There's K2. Then there's 4 amino acids, taurine, creatine, carnitin. There's conjugated linoleic acid, cholesterol, hemiiron. There's 3 forms of, actually really 4 of vitamin D also. So when you add all of that up, it's over 15 pretty much. So do you agree now?
Okay, some of those nutrients you just listed are not essential
Right, I
nutrients.
know
So,
you said this last time too. That's not my point. I'm saying as far as eating food, do you agree, which you just have to agree at this point, that it's the least nutritious diet there is, because any diet that is animal foods has these nutrients?
okay, no, I don't agree. Okay,
Okay,
so for
why?
one thing, some of the nutrients you listed just now, they're not essential they're not essential nutrients. So you listed creatine, taurine, carnitine, cholesterol, I think maybe a few others. Those aren't essential nutrients. So to claim that they're like not in your diet, that's just a non-issue. Your own body synthesizes those nutrients. So I don't see how you could involve those nutrients in there.
Okay, first, they're essential for health. If you're saying that you can create them, that's a whole different topic. My point is that it is not found in plants, therefore a diet with animal foods is by definition more nutritious. I mean, you're going to look like an idiot if you say no, because by definition, if you look at food, a vegan diet is the least nutritious diet there is. There is no diet that has less nutrients than a vegan diet because you only eat plants.
Okay, well, Sverige, there's a lot of different ways to look at what diet is more nutritious or not. I mean, you can set up, look, you can set up a raw meat diet that's deficient in a lot of things. If you only eat skeletal muscle tissue from animals that, like chicken, yeah, you'd be deficient in a lot of things.
Name one thing.
You'd probably end up being deficient in a lot of B vitamins, folate. You wouldn't be getting any fiber. Obviously, there's
Okay,
no.
are you
Iron
saying
would
that?
be low too, by the way, because it's a white meat.
Wait. Are you saying that fiber is a nutrient?
Okay, well, no, it's not
Okay,
technically a
and there's
nutrient.
every B vitamin
Look,
isn't
look.
found in every animal. Do you think that chickens function without B vitamins? You do understand that meat
Okay.
comes from animals, okay? So
Yeah.
it's obviously found in meat because it's an animal.
Okay, well,
Every
Sverige.
animal has every B vitamin.
Okay, well, Sverige, my point is just blanketly stating that one diet is less nutritious than another diet. It's a little misleading because, depending on how you're eating, one diet that is generally more nutritious, you could set up a diet where it's actually less nutritious. Like if you only ate skeletal muscle from chickens, you'd end up getting less iron than someone who's consuming a vegan diet that's really high in beans and legumes.
Okay, there is no hemi-iron in plants. Somehow
That's fine.
you're not understanding what I'm saying.
Okay, well, heme iron isn't an essential nutrient. Iron is an essential
It's
nutrient.
very essential, but that's
Okay,
not my
heme iron
point.
is not an essential nutrient.
Okay,
It's a
that's not
form
my
of iron.
point right now. I'm saying you take any plant in the world you want, and then you just any plants, and then look at the nutrients and compare it to a diet that has any meat. It will always have over 50 nutrients more. So do you not somehow understand this?
Okay, Sverige, so are you saying that if you eat any meat at all, you will automatically get more nutrition than a vegan?
Right, over 50 nutrients that are only
So
found
if
in
you
meat.
eat any meat at all, so if I were to eat a vegan diet, but I only added one little slice of chicken, then that would mean I'm getting more nutrition
The
than.
chicken would need to have fat, yes, then yeah.
Okay, so here's the issue. If you actually look at nutrient status of vegans versus omnivores, vegans actually have a higher status of certain things and higher intake of certain things than meat eaters generally do. So again, you have to look at this from a holistic perspective.
What you mean by meat eater is somebody who is probably 70 to 80% plants, but why do you not simply answer the question? everybody knows the answer to this. I just told you, you put plants down, you put the diet down with animal foods. There's over 50 nutrients. By definition, it means a vegan diet is the least nutritious man-made diet there has ever been in history. How can you not agree to that?
Okay, well, some of the nutrients you're listing aren't even essential nutrients. You do not need them in your diet.
Okay, somehow you're not listening to what I'm saying, man. That's so strange.
Okay, well, I am. So for one thing, a lot of the nutrients you're listing are not essential nutrients. So if you're getting them in your diet or not, it really doesn't matter. And secondly, a lot of the nutrients you're listing, like heme iron, vitamin A, vitamin D, those are things you can get on a vegan diet.
How do you get animal hormone on a vegan diet, vitamin D?
Vitamin D? Okay, well, fungi produce it. So you can get D2, it's converted to D3 in your body. Certain fungus also produce D3. You can get D3 from sunlight.
Yeah, we can talk about this, but you just have to admit that it's the least nutritious diet there is, or we can move on from this. That's it. You have to. Everybody knows this. You can't get around this.
Okay, Sv3rige. So why don't we go through each nutrient one by one?
But you're somehow not listening to what I'm saying. You imagine, okay, maybe you have imagination. You take a basket, you put down every plant on earth, and then you put down plants if you want also, or just put down an animal. It has over 50 nutrients more. That by definition means that a vegan diet is the least nutritious diet there is. What do you not agree on? And I'm not saying that there's essential stuff or that you can convert or anything. I'm saying if a chemist looked at the nutrients, it would find over 50 nutrients more in the diet with meat. What do you not understand?
Okay, Sv3rige, let's agree for the sake of argument that meat has more nutrition in it. So some of this nutrition actually leads to disease. So you mentioned heme iron. So here's a meta-analysis of heme iron intake and its association with coronary heart disease. So this is a meta-analysis. It's not a single study, so it's considered a higher level of evidence. So heme iron, it's a pro-oxidant. It contributes to the development of atherosclerosis by catalyzing the production of hydroxyl-free radicals and promoting low-density lipoprotein oxidation. So if you take a look at heme iron intake, participants with higher heme iron intake had a 31% increased risk of coronary heart disease compared to those with a lower intake.
I can already tell you that all of these studies talk about supplements.
No, it's not talking about supplements. It's talking about dietary intake. Okay, so epidemiological findings. So we aim to investigate the association by carrying out a meta-analysis of prospective studies. So this is about heme iron. So like this. Okay, well, first of all, you get heme iron through diet. There aren't any heme iron supplements.
The supplements are incredibly toxic because it's iron. It's not natural. It's heated. So this is what they use. So of course it's unhealthy. All supplements are super unhealthy. So that just proves that supplements are shit. We can move on
well, that. The study wasn't on supplementation. It was on diet.
Well, where does it say that?
Okay, well, it's
I just asked you.
Well, look, it's prospective research on heme iron intake. It's not. So if this were on supplements,
it doesn't say anything about diet.
Well, Sv3rige.
They almost always use supplements,
medicine,
when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, these are prospective studies on heme iron. I don't think they use... If this were on supplements, then it wouldn't be on heme iron. Like, they wouldn't have used the word heme iron. It would have been whatever form. I can't remember the most typical form of iron supplement there is, but it's not heme iron.
Yeah, okay, you have no proof for that. And thanks for conceding and admitting that's the least nutritious diet.
Sv3rige. Okay, so Sv3rige, heme iron intake is associated with an increased risk of disease. So, yeah, okay, so let's agree for the sake of argument. Okay, you can't get heme iron on a vegan diet. Well, good, because heme iron seems to be associated with an increased risk of heart disease, so why would I want to take it?
But somehow your body does everything it possibly can to convert it to heme iron, because you would die without heme iron, because animals only work on heme iron.
Okay, well, Sverige, your body actually doesn't have any way to regulate iron stores once it's inside your body. So absorption of iron is very tightly regulated in the intestine. Heme iron bypasses this regulatory mechanism, so you can have like very like dangerously high levels of iron if you get iron through animal product intake. So the natural way to get iron is actually from plants because it doesn't bypass your body's regulatory mechanisms.
Okay, where's your proof for this?
Okay, I don't have that research available right now.
All right.
If you give me a little bit, maybe I'd have to dig it up. It's been a while. But anyway, Sv3rige, heme
It's not
iron.
super relevant.
Look, Sv3rige, the point is, heme iron intake is associated with an increased risk of chronic disease, like heart disease. So why would I want to consume heme iron?
Right, there's no even proof for this, so I do
I
understand that
just gave you proof.
supplements
I
are.
gave you a
Yeah,
meta-analysis,
the supplements.
of prospective studies.
Yeah, I know supplements. They're toxic.
Those aren't supplements. Sv3rige,
Okay, and you have no
so
proof,
Sv3rige,
so
where does it say supplements on here?
it doesn't, but it also doesn't say that it comes from the diet.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, first of all, this is prospective research, and they use the term heme iron. If you actually look up studies on iron supplementation, there aren't any heme iron supplements.
There's no heme iron supplements?
As far as I'm aware, that's not. Let me see. Heme iron supplement.
There's like a million.
Alpha heme. Okay, so there are heme iron. Okay, so yeah, I guess I was mistaken. So typically, let's see, heme iron polypeptide, heme iron. Okay. Okay, so apparently they do have heme iron supplements. Okay, well, anyway, as far as I was, yeah, okay, as far as I was aware before, usually when you look up iron research on like, supplementation, they don't use heme iron supplements. It's a different type of iron. I can't remember the technical term for it. But anyway, where were we? So anyway, Sv3rige, this is prospective research on heme iron intake, and nowhere does it. Let's actually look at the full text. Let's see if the full text is available. Okay, let's go to Sci-Hub, since this is something you want to confirm. Sci-Hub should have this full text available. Let's just look at the methods involved. Okay, introduction. Okay, materials and methods, systematic search. Let's see. Inclusion criteria. The study design was prospective. The exposure of interest was intake of heme iron. The outcome of interest was coronary heart disease. This seems to just be dietary intake, Sv3rige. Oh yeah, if the included studies presented results for total iron and heme iron by different food sources, example, red meat, fish, yeah, so they did include food sources.
You can link it to me and I can read it after. That's the best I can do.
Okay, sure. But
long.
they did include food sources in.
Yeah, it's just that
in
to
this
judge a
research.
study, I would have to read the whole study and analyze it. They can take an
Okay,
hour
sure.
or two.
Okay, well, fair enough. Anyway, so can you actually give me one single benefit to consuming heme iron?
What do you mean? You would die
Give me-
without it? I just told you.
Well, give me one
Death
single
is
benefit.
pretty bad.
What's the one single benefit to consuming heme iron?
Not dying.
Okay, well, do you have any research showing that heme iron intake reduces risk of all-cause mortality?
I wouldn't know. I never looked into it.
Okay, so then how do you know that
What I'm
eating
saying is
heme
an
iron
animal.
reduces risk of dying?
I don't need a study to know that an animal can't live without heme iron. That's why you convert it.
Okay, Sv3rige, I just asked you.
That's why vegans have low iron, as proven in studies.
No, it's not. No, okay. Can you show me one piece of research showing that vegans have a higher risk of iron deficiency?
I can try to look it up.
Okay,
It's really just
well-
pointless to exchange studies right now. Why can't we just?
Okay, well,
Oh.
anyway, iron in vegetarian diets. Vegetarians who eat a varied and well-balanced diet are not at any greater risk of iron deficiency and anemia than non-vegetarians. So I haven't seen any research showing that vegans or vegetarians are at a high risk of iron deficiency.
Well, for one thing, I wouldn't even need that because, as you know, I interview ex-vegans on my channel, and many of them are iron deficient. So, for one thing, I wouldn't, for myself, ever need a study to prove what I already know from experience.
Okay, well, that's an anecdotal claim. Sverige, I can
Yes,
find
there is
anecdotes.
human beings, and I, unlike you, care about human beings.
Okay, well, Sverige, my wife was iron deficient when she wasn't vegan. Her doctors told her to eat more red meat and even gave her an iron supplement. She was still iron deficient, and it
Of
wasn't
course.
until after she went on a vegan diet that her iron deficiency went away. So I can find anecdotal claims just like you can. Do you want me to bring her over here and she can tell you? You don't have to just take my word for it. Like,
No, thanks.
Sverige, I can find anecdotal claims supporting whatever I want, just like you can. So you have to actually provide research. Like, how many vegans have you interviewed on your channel? Like, let's say 100? Okay, well, I can find studies involving thousands of people where there's no association between a vegetarian diet or vegan diet and risk of iron deficiency and anemia. So
Yeah,
what's the better evidence? Like,
well,
let's
what's the
say.
better? I'll tell you, because if there's never been anybody who eats an only meat diet, especially raw meat, who has an iron deficiency, and there's tons of vegans who have iron deficiency, so of course that's better than any study out there that proves that a vegan diet is of course worse when it comes to iron.
Okay, so Sverige, you're anecdotally claiming that you've never seen somebody who eats a raw meat diet who's iron deficient. That's your argument for.
Because it cannot even exist.
Okay, so that's your argument. You've anecdotally never seen anyone who's eaten a raw meat diet who's iron deficient.
No, that's just one of the points. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now because in the last debate when we had it in the basement, there was a link, but I can link it to you, but I don't understand. I mean, it could be possibly that the study is gone, but this was one of the studies that was supposed to show the iron deficiency of vegans, but I don't really understand what happened to it. It's like
You're saying the full text isn't available?
I don't see anything. It just says the title at this point.
Right, right. Okay, so you can use Sci-Hub. I'll show you. So Sci-Hub is a pretty good resource if you want the full text. So you can either type in the link of the study or the name, and usually you'll get a full text. So okay, so it looks like download PDF. Nope, doesn't look like that's available.
Yeah,
Let's
I found
see.
it too.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah, but it's just pointless for me to go into this now and waste time and read all of this. Like, just exchanging studies is not what I came here to debate.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, I haven't seen any evidence that vegans are at a higher risk of iron deficiency compared to meat eaters. And on top of that, heme iron intake appears to be associated with a pretty significantly increased risk of heart disease. So what would be the benefit for me eating heme iron?
Yeah, but that wasn't even my point. I was talking about something completely else. If you want to believe that, it's completely irrelevant to me.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, you're saying vegans can't get heme iron. Okay, fair enough. We can't get heme iron through our diet. The point is that why would I want to?
I told you already. You know my answer.
Okay, so your answer
Your body
is
does everything it can to convert it, so of course it wants heme iron. Do you not understand that?
okay. So you don't think your body should do that process? Why would you, like, again, if your body is doing that process for you and it's a tightly regulated process, your body makes as much heme iron as it wants, why would you basically take over for, your natural metabolic systems and just judge for yourself, like what heme iron, like how much heme iron you want to intake?
Well,
Because
that's
again, when you do this, it seems to increase risk of heart disease.
right, and that's the problem because we have no proof that vegans can actually, humans in general, can convert it efficiently, and this is exactly why, like I said, vegans end up with iron deficiencies from my experience.
Okay, so again, there's research showing that vegans and vegetarians don't have higher risk of iron deficiency, and you're just saying from your own experience, you've seen lots of vegans who are iron deficient.
Oh, of course, my experience is the most important for me anyway. But
Okay.
because it wasn't my iron wasn't my point. It's just pointless to talk about this.
Okay, well, how about we move on a little bit?
Well, I
So,
actually wanted to discuss a completely different point, which I didn't get to.
okay, sure, go ahead.
Right. So you likely have many viewers from places where they don't get sunlight, such as Finland, Sweden, even Canada, where you live, especially
Sure.
more in the north, throughout many months. And as you know, vitamin D is an animal hormone, which is not found in plants. Calcitriol, the N form. So people in Finland and many vegans in general, happy healthy vegan, recently released a blood test result. He was deficient in vitamin D, even though he lives in LA. But especially people where they get no sun for pretty much 9 months and who like to live there. Where's your empathy for those humans who can get vitamin D and end up being sick, and get kids who get rickets because they don't get vitamin D? Because the only way for them to get it with a natural diet, which is for them to eat fish, meat, etc., is of course to eat animal foods, because it's only found in animal fat. It's an animal hormone. A vegan diet is impossible in places where there is no sun.
Okay, so vitamin D deficiency in these places is extraordinarily common in both vegan and meat-eating populations. So I don't know why you're singling out the vegan population. And there are these things called supplements. If you just go on Amazon, order vegan D3. So like I can just show you how easy it is. So go on Amazon, vegan D3. And then there you go, vegan D3, bioenhanced. It's made from a type of fungus lichen. You can get all the D3 you need. It's a pretty reliable source of D3 too, because you don't have to rely on eating specific types of animals, specific types of organs. It's cheaper, easier to get. You can get way higher doses than you could just eating it through foods. So
Do you know what the supplement is called? What the actual molecule is that they sell?
okay, what is it?
No, I'm just asking. You don't know?
Okay, well, it's
They
D3.
usually
I know
call
they're, sorry?
well, they usually say that what they sell is cholecalciferol, which is what is created when sun hits the skin, and you create it from cholesterol, just like most hormones, because that's why it's called cholecalciferol. So where in moss fungi is there cholesterol?
Okay, wait. Hangouts is okay. I'm having you can hear me just fine right now, right?
Yeah, what, it disappeared?
No, my computer I think is just derping, or Google. I wanted to share the screen, but anyway, vitamin D3 cholecalciferol from lichen. That's the ingredient.
Right.
Again, I don't know much about fungi, but they do produce D3 cholecalciferol.
Right, but they don't, because cholecalciferol is made from animal lipids. That's why it's called chole, because it comes from cholesterol. You you just fell into a trap. You blindly appeal to authority, to black and white text. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're appealing to pharmaceutical companies. You don't give a shit about your subscribers who don't get any sunlight and who get sick on a vegan diet, who don't get this animal hormone because they eat a non-natural diet, even though they should be eating animal fat. You have zero proof, because it can't even be. And you have no idea about supplements whatsoever. Supplements are fake. It's a business, man. You vegans fell for it, and you're slaves of the pharmaceutical companies. You're taking medicine to treat your nutritionally deficient diet. Like,
Okay,
what an absolute
Sv3rige.
joke.
Okay, Sv3rige. Lichen, type of fungus, it can produce cholecalciferol.
I just
I don't
told you where it
know.
comes from, cholesterol. Okay,
Okay,
where in
Sv3rige.
lichen is there cholesterol?
Okay, Sv3rige. Do you have evidence that lichen cannot produce vitamin D3 cholecalciferol?
Do you have proof that it has cholesterol?
Yes. Look, Sv3rige. It's on the label.
Lichen has
Like there's mass
cholesterol, an animal
spectrometers.
lipid.
Sorry.
Lichen has cholesterol, an animal lipid.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, I don't know how lichen produce
Yeah, you
cholecalciferol.
don't know. That's my whole point. You
Okay,
have no idea what you're
Sv3rige.
talking about
Okay,
right now.
Sv3rige, you're the one making the claim that any plant cannot, like including fungi, They cannot produce cholesterol. Do you have any evidence that like lichen or any kind of fungus cannot produce cholesterol?
Yes, I just told you it is made from cholesterol. That's why it's called cholecalciferol. Where is cholesterol in
Okay.
lichen? There's
Okay,
never been found.
Sv3rige,
Think
okay,
that it cannot have it.
let me, god damn it, fucking Chrome isn't fucking working. My Chrome literally is just derping at it.
Yeah,
Give me a
sure.
second. All my tabs are just saying not responding. Give me a second here, if I can. Wow, okay. I've never had this happen before. Let me see if I can open Firefox.
By the way, if anybody can see, this is the highest source of vitamin D. It's an animal brain, and it's super yummy also. And this is what people eat in nature. This is where they get vitamin D.
Let me just see if I can find an article on how lichen produce cholesterol. Give
It tastes
me
pretty
one
much like egg
moment.
yolks.
Give me a second. I'm just trying to. I haven't actually researched the topic on how lichen exactly produce cholesterol, but let me just see.
Because it can't.
Um,
There's been many supplements that have been exposed that are, because it's unregulated. Nobody regulates supplements, so they find molecules that look similar to what they want to sell. For example, I can give a perfect example. Most people have no idea about this. One sec. Well, I pretty much remember it. It's vitamin E. Pretty much 99% of vitamin E supplements come from byproducts of the film industry. They want to make money of the stupid
no.
people to buy. Yeah, it is to buy vitamin E because they found a molecule that looks somewhat similar to vitamin E. And because supplements are unregulated, they actually sell them, and people get vitamin E toxicity because it's not actually vitamin E. They get toxicity from the byproducts of the film industry. That's what a joke supplements are. You eat a nutrient deficient diet and the supplements cannot help you. There is no cholesterol in lichen. You're never going to prove this. You lost the debate.
Let me see. No. Just a moment here. Let's see. Okay, I found a paper saying provitamin D2 ergosterol synthesized by many fungi. Okay, so it sounds like fungi are able to produce a sterol form, and then your body converts it into cholesterol.
You mean D2? Yeah.
So it looks like lichen have D3.
Right. But there is
Okay.
no proof that the molecule. There's no proof. There's no proof of what the molecule looks like. There's no proof of the process, seeing as it is made by cholesterol. Or are you denying that that's why it's called cholecalciferol?
Okay, well, your own body produces cholesterol, so I don't see how this is an issue.
No, that's not my point. No, I'm saying that it's impossible that lichen has cholecalciferol, seeing as it's made from cholesterol. It cannot have it. It's absolutely ridiculous that you're saying this. Every chemist on earth would laugh at you right now.
Let me see. Just give me a moment. Sorry, I haven't prepared for this, so I just want to quickly look at
Well, I've researched it, man. You're not going to find an answer to this. It's just one of the things that vegans have no answer for.
Okay, so let's see.
Also, if anybody is curious, this is the highest source of vitamin A. It's the liver of an animal. It also tastes really great, and It's the most nutritious food there is.
Okay, so I can't find any great resources on this, but okay, so look, let's just agree for the sake of argument. Look, you can't get fully formed D3 cholecystyrol from plants. You can take a supplement as a vegan, and it does prevent D3 deficiencies.
Well, it would be
So-
calcitriol. That would be the end form of the actual animal hormone, which we call D3.
Okay.
And there's no proof that you can convert and get it as a vegan.
Okay. So
There's no proof of any vegan D supplement D2 or from the lichen that it works. You're simply blindly appealing to authority right now. It's a fallacy. You're not going to get anywhere with it.
okay, wait. Let me see if I can find a study on vitamin D2 and see if that actually can prevent or treat D3 deficiency.
Well, I can already tell you that there are studies that find the supplement in the blood. It doesn't prove that it actually treats vitamin D. It's simply when you take a supplement, you find it in the blood, whatever is digested, even if it's 1%. But that doesn't mean that it's vitamin D. You simply find the supplement in the blood, which is a similar molecule. There's no proof that they in any way work or that it's an animal hormone or anything. And obviously, vegans can't take animal hormones because they would be not vegan.
Okay, wait a second. I think I just found a study. My Google Chrome is completely fucked, so I can't share the goddamn screen anymore. I'm worried that if I exit Chrome, the stream will crash. I'm not sure if that would be an issue. Okay, so let's see. Just a moment here. Okay, I did find a study on D2 supplementation and curing deficiency. So vitamin D2 treatment for vitamin D deficiency and insufficiency for up to 6 years. That's the study name. It was published October 26, 2009. And they used D2, vitamin D2, ergocalciferol, and it did treat vitamin D deficiency.
How does it say it treated? What's the conclusion they came to? How did they conclude that it treated it?
Vitamin D levels. So let's see. The efficacy of this regimen has been previously described to prevent recurrent vitamin D deficiency and also maintain adequate levels in patients who are vitamin D deficient. We treat with 50,000 IUs of ergocalciferol every other week indefinitely, a regimen that, to our knowledge, has not been published to date. And then if you read the results, basically after treatment, people maintained adequate vitamin D levels. So do you want me to, so I can't link the fucking study right now because my Chrome has completely taken a shit. And yeah, I can, no, that's through Chrome too. So again, vitamin D2 treatment for vitamin D deficiency and insufficiency for up to 6 years. So you can find clinical trials where they do treat patients with non-animal forms of vitamin D, and it is adequate for treatment.
Right.
So
what did you mean about 6 years?
Okay, I believe this is 6 years of follow-up, I believe. Yeah, this is treatment range.
So these are just random people who eat vitamin D anyway in their diet if they eat animal fat. So this proves nothing.
Okay, well, they're deficient.
Yeah, but it doesn't account for what their diet is. They could easily
Well,
be
yes, it does. They're vitamin D deficient, and then they used a plant-based form of vitamin D to get rid of their deficiency.
Well, I already asked you, how did they conclude that they didn't have the deficiency anymore?
Just by serum levels.
Yeah, which would be the supplement in the blood. That doesn't mean that they have vitamin D, like the actual calcitriol. You have no proof for that.
Okay. Well, after several months of follow-up, I believe that's the only way to determine whether or not you're vitamin D deficient.
Yeah, but they would still only find the supplement in the blood. That it doesn't say anything about them having calcitriol, anything.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, the conclusion of the study was that this is an inexpensive way to treat vitamin D deficiency. It was effective. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, nothing, because you can't prove it. And besides that, even if there was a supplement out there that would work, which there isn't, maybe not everybody wants to take medicine, right?
Well, wait a second.
Maybe people want to eat food. You ever thought that some people simply want to live in a colder climate, such as one of my friends who lives in Finland, and he wants to eat food. He doesn't want to take drugs or medicine. He simply wants to eat food.
Vitamin D supplements aren't drugs or medicine. And secondly, Sv3rige, you're the one who's claiming that it is impossible to treat vitamin D deficiency with supplementation, especially through plant sources of vitamin D. Do you have any research on that?
There's never been any research done. That's the thing.
Okay, so then how can you make that claim?
What do you mean? We already went through this.
No, you didn't. Okay, so what evidence do you have to make that claim that it is impossible to treat vitamin D deficiency with plant sources of D?
There isn't evidence for or against. There simply isn't evidence.
Okay, well,
my whole point is that vegans cannot get an animal hormone on a vegan diet, and you don't need anything except for simple common sense to understand that they can't get it. If you don't have it in the diet, then you can't get it.
Okay, Sv3rige, so you make vitamin D through sun exposure, and you can also convert plant forms of vitamin D to cholesterol.
Yeah, that's why I said Finland, Sweden, Canada, and so on.
Right, and you can convert plant sources of vitamin D to cholesterol.
No proof.
Okay, well, where's your proof that you can't?
I just told you.
Let's see.
There is no proof either way. Why do you keep asking the same question? If you can't get vitamin D on a vegan diet, then that's it. I don't need to prove that I don't need a study of vegans that have been studied, because they simply haven't. If they can't get it, I don't understand what you don't get. Like, if a baby doesn't have a toy, then it simply doesn't have the toy. I don't need to prove that the babies don't have toys.
Give me one moment. I'm taking a look at another study.
Your appeal to studies and authority is pathetic, by the way.
Okay, well, that's the most accurate means of that's the best means of looking at data, of finding out the truth. Why would I just make assumptions?
Well, you don't need to.
Okay, well,
everybody understands that there is no vitamin D in a vegan diet.
Okay,
you don't need a study for that.
Okay, Sv3rige, there are vegan sources of vitamin D, and you can convert, vegan sources of vitamin D like what's the ergocalciferol to cholesterol.
Vitamin D, by definition, is an animal hormone. There are no vegan sources. You're talking about pre-vitamin, pretty much, just like beta carotene and vitamin A. Beta carotene is not a vitamin, same as the
true. That's true.
B2 is also not a vitamin.
Okay, that's true. Give me 1 second. I'm almost done looking up some research with vitamin D2 and D3. Okay, so I found 2 studies. One of them is a meta-analysis. So I guess I'll reference the meta-analysis first. Comparison of vitamin D2 and vitamin D3 supplementation in raising serum 25-hydroxy vitamin D status. So that is that's what they look for on a blood test to see if you're vitamin D deficient. A systematic review and meta-analysis. So I don't know too much about vitamin D, but that seems to be the like active form in the human body, 25-dehydroxy vitamin D. So what they found was vitamin D2 supplementation does elevate levels of 25-hydroxy vitamin D, but it's not as good at doing that as vitamin D3. So you can raise vitamin D levels in the body with vitamin D2, so plant form of vitamin D, like
Wait, what was the plant form called?
It's ergocalciferol, vitamin D2. So you can use ergocalciferol to raise 25-hydroxy vitamin D in human serum.
What's the study called?
Okay, so it's comparison of vitamin D2 and vitamin D3 supplementation in raising serum 25-hydroxy vitamin D status, a systematic review and meta-analysis. Sorry, everyone, my Google Chrome is just completely fucked right now. Like everything's frozen and it's just not getting better.
By the way, one question. So your ideal world would be everybody eating plants and taking medicine from pharmaceutical companies. That's what you want people to do. And you don't, of course, you have no empathy for humans who just want to eat food, right?
Okay, well, Sv3rige, vitamin D deficiencies are extraordinarily common, and especially among people with darker skin.
Yeah, of
So
course.
this has nothing to do with vegan versus meat. Meat eaters get vitamin D deficiencies.
No, somebody who only eats animal fat couldn't even possibly get it. If they eat
Well, I'm on
50 to 70% animal fat as a natural, it would be obviously impossible.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, what are the highest sources of vitamin D on, like, sorry, what are the best sources of vitamin D on animal-based diet?
That's exactly the point, and this is why what you call meat eaters, quote unquote, are deficient because they don't eat actual meat. They are afraid of fat because of the dietary guidelines of today. So as I showed before, the brain of the animal, that's the highest source of vitamin D. So I'm in the sun a lot also because I can in summer, not in winter. And other than that, I eat...
Okay, well, Sv3rige, what if somebody doesn't want to eat a brain?
Well,
they just don't like the taste.
That wouldn't even be possible. It just tastes like eggs, pretty much. Everybody likes the taste. But
okay, well, I hate the taste of eggs. Even before, when I ate meat and ate eggs, I hated the taste of eggs.
Cooked eggs?
Both cooked or raw. I've eaten raw eggs too.
Oh, they don't taste exactly like eggs, but you wouldn't know because you've never ate brain, so you couldn't even possibly comment on it.
Okay, well, I've known some people who have eaten brain, and they said they hated the taste.
Yeah, but who were those people? What do they typically eat?
Weird shit. They ended up eating brain.
Yeah, but what do they generally eat? Absolute shit, processed food. So they never even ate that before.
Okay,
so
well, Sv3rige,
nobody in nature has ever said that they don't like the taste of raw animal foods. It's only modern slaves who would say that. So how is that even relevant?
Okay, well, Sv3rige, you just made an appeal to personal preference. Some people personally prefer not to take supplements, while some people personally prefer not to eat animals.
That's absolutely fine. You cannot eat animals. Nobody cares about vegans not eating animals. It's that you're pushing it onto everybody. So that's why I ask you. Obviously, you want everybody to go vegan, right? So what's your ideal world? Everybody taking pharmaceuticals.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, here's another issue.
Why don't you just answer the question?
Okay, well, no, here's another... sorry, what was the question?
What's your ideal world? Would you want everybody to eat plants and take pharmaceuticals, medicine?
Okay, well, vitamin supplements are not pharmaceuticals. They're vitamin supplements. They're not drugs. So I want to make that distinction.
By definition is drugs. It's by definition.
By definition. Okay, so what definition of drug are you using?
The most common definition, because you would have to... You're trying to treat your nutrient deficient diet by taking supplements. A supplement simply means to fulfill something that is not whole. Seeing as a vegan diet is missing over 50 nutrients, you're trying to fill in the gaps. That's what supplementing means. And you supplement with a drug that's been created in a laboratory, and a medicine is simply a chemical that you use to treat an illness. That's the definition of medicine. And your illness is that you're nutrient deficient. That's why vegans take supplements, because they eat a nutrient deficient diet.
Okay, Sv3rige, are you saying it's absolutely impossible to become nutritionally deficient if your entire diet is only made up of meat?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so if I ate nothing but plain white chicken breast, I would not be deficient in anything?
Now you would have to eat fat, because
Okay,
the fat
so it is
vitamins
possible.
are in fat.
Correct. Okay, so then it is possible to eat nothing but meat and be deficient in something.
No, what do you
I
what is
just gave
meat?
look, I just
No,
gave you a
yeah,
scenario
but
where you
what
could
kind of
eat.
definition of meat is that? Meat is the flesh of an animal. If you have to eat the whole animal, obviously there is no such thing as chicken breast. Chicken breast that's not a natural food.
Okay. Okay, well, Sv3rige, the point I made here is that it is possible to set up a nutritionally deficient diet that only includes animal products. Like, look, it is difficult like, if you're following any diet to meet all of your nutritional requirements without any kind of fortification or supplementation. That's why all throughout human history we see people having vitamin mineral deficiencies, and even just deficiencies in energy. Like starvation has been an issue all throughout human history.
Right, but that's when you don't eat.
Yeah, but my point
I have a
is,
strange definition of meat. Meat to me means a whole animal. It comes from me eat. It's just the old word of saying I want to eat. It's meat. It's because humans have always been eating animals. So your definition is chicken breast, and nobody has the definition of meat. So of course,
okay,
it's just stupid.
okay,
Meat
well,
is an animal. You can't be deficient in any nutrients if you eat animals.
okay, let's just agree for the sake of argument. If we followed your diet, it would be impossible to be nutritionally deficient in anything. Let's just agree for the sake of argument right now. That doesn't actually mean you're going to be healthy, because again, you mentioned that we have to eat like large amounts of saturated fat, cholesterol, the adipose tissue of an animal, brain tissue. Well, all of those foods significantly raise your LDL cholesterol, which is the primary principal risk factor for heart disease. Saturated fat also causes type 2 diabetes. So, okay, let's agree for the sake of argument that it's impossible.
But
Sorry?
this is just such. I don't even. It's just such a joke. I don't even understand how many
Okay, so
people
why
who
isn't
watch
that
your
true?
videos even believe that. Like, this is such old science. Like, pretty much nobody even in the science community believes it. There's like 20 vegan doctors that still believe that cholesterol is bad for you. It's just such a joke.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, based on over 200 meta-analyses of prospective data, clinical research, randomized trials, Mendelian randomization studies, LDL cholesterol has a incredibly strong link to heart disease. So there's no arguing this at this
All
point.
right, whatever. You're going off topic anyway. The point was vitamin D, and you.
Okay. Well,
You-
okay. Well, Sv3rige, the thing is, I don't know too much about the topic of vitamin D, so
Right.
I thought it would
So
have been. So look, you were wrong about your one statement that it's impossible to convert vegan sources of vitamin D like ergocalciferol or ergocalciferol. I can't remember the
I
exact
never
name
said
to
it. I simply said there is no proof. I'm
Okay,
sure
well
that.
there is. I didn't link it on screen because my Chrome is fucked
Yeah.
up right now, but I did mention the study, and they did find that D2 can be used to treat vitamin D deficiency. It raises the active form in serum.
I can't find it. What was their? How did they come to this conclusion? How did they conclude it? Because I can't find it.
Okay, so again, I'll leave the name of the meta-analysis: comparison of vitamin D2 and vitamin D3 supplementation in raising serum 25 hydroxy vitamin D status. So 25 hydroxy vitamin D, that's the form of vitamin D in serum where it's like the active form in the body, and vitamin D2 is able to raise 25 hydroxy vitamin D. Now, it wasn't as good as vitamin D3, but I think that's still a topic of contention, whether or not you can actually get vitamin D3 from plants. I'd actually have to look into that topic a little more, because you threw me off there. I just haven't studied vitamin D enough to give you a good answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so the point is, you can get forms of vitamin D from plants through supplementation. I know you personally don't like supplementation, but that is a route to get vitamin D. And secondly, I think it is worthwhile to point out that okay, you can get vitamin D, and even if we were to agree for the sake of argument that okay, if we followed your diet where you eat all of these different brains, different organs, lots of fat, it would be impossible to be nutrient deficient in anything. Well, the issue there is you're eating animal foods that have been proven to increase risk of chronic disease, and one of the reasons why these animal foods increase risk of chronic disease is because they elevate your serum cholesterol score. So I would argue that it would be more beneficial to follow a nutrient deficient vegan diet where you have to take supplementation, but you avoid these disease causing animal foods.
Right. I understand that you don't care or even don't like nature. Maybe you hate nature, but how do you see this? It's just so ridiculous. So in nature, as human beings, as any animal that has a natural diet, the only way for them to get it is to eat animals, right? Vitamin D, and that's what people do all around the world, obviously, but especially more so when they don't get sunlight for many months. How could those how could those animals somehow slowly kill you, which is kind of what you're saying, if what you're eating are the animal cells, which are exactly like your animal cells? Like, how can nature, it's just so beyond retarded, how can nature kill you even though the only way to get these nutrients is through eating the animals? But somehow there's this bad thing, this boogeyman, cholesterol, saturated animal fat. I just don't understand the level of retarded that like your viewers. I just feel so sad for your viewers. Like,
Okay, well,
it
I
must
have a
be the
few.
vegan diet that just damaged their brain.
Okay, well, I have a few things to say to that. For one thing, do you think it could be possible that there are benefits to eating certain foods and there are also negatives to eating certain foods?
No, absolutely not. The natural human diet only has benefits. There are zero, just nothing that's bad whatsoever about it.
Okay, well, the way evolution works, it's basically an attempt to just improve survivability. Just because we've evolved to eat certain foods, like let's say for the sake of argument, we evolved to eat meat, it doesn't mean it's perfectly 100% healthy for us. Look at what's happening to pandas right now. Pandas have evolved to eat bamboo. Well, bamboo is extremely low in nutrition. There's only a certain type of like bamboo they can even eat, I believe, and that's actually the primary reason for their like why they're going extinct, pandas. So just because you might have evolved to eat a certain thing in a certain quantity, that doesn't mean your diet is going to be absolutely perfect for you. A panda's diet, it's very difficult for them to get an adequate amount of nutrition just because of what they've evolved to eat. So do you think the same could be maybe the case for human beings where, possibly, through like we have to get certain nutrients through animal foods, but there's the caveat that if we eat too much, that we increase our risk of chronic disease. Do you think that could be a possibility?
Panda eating bamboo is similar to how vegans eat only plants because they have a carnivore's digestive tract, so they should be eating meat, but they don't for whatever reason. I wouldn't possibly know.
Oh, okay, well, the point I was making is, evolution isn't perfect. Let's say if we did evolve to include some animal products in our diet, that doesn't mean if we eat, like if we eat these products, they don't have positives and negatives. It doesn't mean
Right.
we've
So what you're
perfectly
saying
adapted to eat
is
a certain
that
food.
okay, so what you're saying is that we are now switching from to eating only plants and taking pharmaceuticals. That's evolution to you.
Okay, no, I don't think you're understanding my argument. I'm saying you're saying if you eat a natural diet, it has to be 100% perfect, not cause any disease at all. Well, what I'm saying is there are positives and negatives to every food, every diet, and one of the negatives to your diet is that it is being demonstrably proven to increase risk of heart disease. which is the the main cause of death worldwide. So maybe it's not such a great idea to eat a
Okay,
natural diet.
so you probably believe that there's somehow miraculous exceptions to all of this, and everything besides studies, which are wrote by mostly by pharmaceutical companies or supported by them, that is just irrelevant. But the oldest living man right now, his slogan for life, he's 113 right now, is always butter, never margarine. He's been eating butter his whole life. Even if you say that that's anecdotal, blah, 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 just like all people who live a long life, then you would still have to say, fuck, you living to 113 is pretty good odds. And of course, people should keep eating butter. Even if you call it anecdotal, you can live to 113 years by eating meat and butter every day.
Okay, well, the issue with that, Sv3rige, is there can be like weird outliers in a population. I had a neighbor who lived down the street from me. He was a very heavy smoker. He started smoking since he was 13 years old. He lived up until 84, which is longer than the average life expectancy in this country for a male. So does that mean smoking isn't really all that harmful? Because I can
He
find one
died at
anecdotal
84.
example.
That's why he died prematurely, of course. That just proves
Okay,
smoking is bad.
Sv3rige, you can probably bring up this article with a quick Google search. There's a woman, I think in India, who's a heavy smoker, and she claims to be over 100 years old. So again, you can find anecdotal examples. I think actually one of the oldest.
But
No,
who knows when she's going to die? For
well,
example, the other oldest living woman that was 118, I believe, from Italy, she ate raw meat and one raw egg a day or two raw eggs, whatever. So she ate raw animal foods. Again, I like the odds of living to that kind of age, and I don't need studies or anything. If I see people who live over 110 and eat butter and raw animal foods, then absolutely I'll go for it.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, I can find people who've lived over 100 who smoke cigarettes regularly. Does that mean smoking cigarettes is good? Because I can
No,
find some
because
people
they
living
would
over the
maybe
age of
die at
100.
103, 105. That doesn't mean that they live healthy, or doesn't mean that they look healthy. If all of those people eat a high animal fat diet and the smoking simply decreases their lifespan or makes them sick quicker, that doesn't mean that smoking,
Okay,
that's
well,
not even logical what you're saying.
okay, well, wait a second. How do you know smoking didn't increase their life expectancy when you have these people living over 100?
Simply because I don't believe that smoking is healthy for you. You're
Okay, well, why
ingesting
not?
smoke.
Okay, well, why not?
Because you're ingesting smoke, and I don't know what they smoke. If they smoke typical cigarettes, then why do I need to list to you the harmful side effects of smoking right
Okay,
now?
well, how do you know that smoking has harmful side effects?
Oh, God. Okay, are you talking about commercial cigarettes?
Yeah. How do you know smoking has harmful side effects?
Okay, so for one thing, they add a sugar coating where at the end of the cigarette. So when you smoke it, you smoke the caramelized sugar basically, and you inhale that. And nicotine itself is not healthy for sure. Do you disagree with that?
Okay, well, Sv3rige, I'm asking you, how do you know cigarette smoking is unhealthy? Like,
I just told
what evidence are you basing this on?
you. I just told you.
Okay, well, I can find people who live over 100 who are smokers. Actually, one of the longest living people who ever lived, I think she lived up until 114. She occasionally smoked cigarettes. So, what's the evidence? If you're going to rely on anecdotal
Yeah,
claims,
but what does nothing to do with food? Food is
so what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. These people smoke cigarettes, so clearly, some of these longest living people who ever lived, they smoked cigarettes. So clearly, cigarette smoking is good for you, right?
Are you joking or are you retarded?
No, I'm showing why your line of reasoning is flawed. You can't just rely on personal anecdotal claims. It's better to rely on large samples of data.
I absolutely can, because it proves that the food doesn't decrease life expectancy, and I don't care
Okay, well,
if it's not
good.
backed up by a study if I can see that they live that long.
Okay, and look, who cares about all the research on smoking, increasing risk of cancer, disease, heart attacks? I found people who are some of the longest living people on Earth, and they smoke cigarettes. So obviously, smoking cigarettes isn't really harmful. In
It
fact,
has nothing to
it's
do with
probably
food, so
beneficial.
that proves nothing. You could also say
It
that they
absolutely
go
does.
out for a walk and whatever. It has nothing to do with food.
It doesn't matter if it doesn't have anything to do with food. Clearly, smoking is a healthy activity because I can find some people who are living over 100 who are smokers.
The zero logic.
No, no, that's the same exact reasoning you're using. I can find people who are living a very long time who are eating fat. That's your reasoning. Well, I can find people who are living a very long time smoking cigarettes. So, do anecdotal claims, is that a higher weight of evidence than meta-analyses, randomized trials?
But smoking doesn't increase longevity. There's zero proof for it. Whereas you're comparing food with smoking. You create hormones, you create cells by eating food. You need saturated animal fat and cholesterol for one thing. This is why all of the longest living people eat those high animal fat diets. Smoking does nothing like that. So you have zero proof.
Okay, well, the longest living population on Earth is the Adventist vegetarians. They have the longest average life expectancy. So,
And the longest living ones are the fish eaters. I really looked into it.
okay, well, they had the lowest risk of all-cause mortality. That's true. But you're only talking about, what was it, like 1.2 years or something on average?
Yeah, well, no, but I know many people from these groups, and a lot of them eat meat. I would rather than look, if you want to talk about civilizations and whatever, then I would look at all of the blue zones, and all of them eat a high animal fat diet.
Okay, well, all of the blue zones also eat really healthy plant foods too, like beans and legumes. So
Yeah, but
why are you cherry picking? So why are you cherry
because
picking certain foods over others?
because the staple of their diet is animal fat.
Okay, so can you actually provide me any research showing that the majority of their diet comes from animal fat? And actually, better yet, why don't you show me a blue zone country and show me that the people who eat more animal fat in these countries or in these areas, they live longer than the people who eat a more plant-based diet?
Have you not heard about the Okinawans, the island of pork?
Okay, well, the research I've seen there, the vast majority of their diet is plant-based, and most of their calories come from purple and orange sweet potatoes.
Oh my God. Did you know that this comes from after World War II when they killed most of the pigs? So they
Okay.
had, you didn't even know this. Oh my God.
Okay, cool. So,
This is where it
so
comes from. They were
Sverige.
starving, man. They were starving at the time.
Okay, okay,
It was a
good.
starvation time to them, just like it is with all humans.
Okay,
And
so
they
Sverige.
eat raw goat meat, they eat fish, they cook everything in lard, which is pig fat. They eat a pig fat diet. That's why they live. That's why so many there live to over 100 years old.
Okay, so that's good, Sverige. The issue here is that there's no granularity to this data set. So there are a lot of things that can go into longevity, disease prevention, your genetics, your overall lifestyle, what activity you do, living a stress-free life, things like this. So for you to just, cherry pick a country, not really look at their whole overall diet and lifestyle and say, oh, well, they're doing this, so obviously that's healthy, that doesn't really make any sense. So if you're going to claim that their really high pork fat diet is great for them, well then why don't you show some granularity to the data set? Can you show me evidence that the people in Okinawa who eat the most amount of meat, the most amount of fat from pigs, live the longest, have the lowest risk of disease?
You mean a study? This hasn't been studied.
Okay, so then how can you reasonably make this claim?
Well, what do you mean? This is what they eat. This is what's been reported. Of course, there isn't a
Okay,
study done
well,
on it.
Sverige, the issue is there's no granularity to the data set. You're just
I
taking a
don't
look at a
care.
country. Well, look, Sverige, you're just taking a look at a country, or like, I guess Okinawa is technically not its own separate country. But basically, you're looking at an area where people are living. You're noticing that these people have a low incidence of disease, live longer. So you can't just cherry pick certain things and say, oh, look, they're eating a lot of pig fat. That must be why they're living longer. Well, why isn't it something else? Why isn't it the plants they're eating? Why isn't it the type of medicines they use? Why isn't it the
Because they eat
physical
very
activity they're
few.
doing?
Because they eat very few plants. So how could that in any way
Okay.
do anything?
Okay, Sverige, the point I'm making is you're cherry picking one aspect of their whole lifestyle and you're saying that's the reason why they're living longer with no actual evidence. So do you have any evidence that, the people who are eating more pork fat, more pig fat, they're living longer than the people who are eating less and eating more plant-based?
How is it
And
not evidence that if the people eat those foods and they live long, like how is that not evidence?
okay, well, Sverige, again, there are many, many factors that are involved with disease prevention, longevity. There are genetic factors for longevity, absolutely. Like, again, the Mendelian randomization, the European atherosclerosis Society consensus paper I sent you, they looked over meta-analyses of Mendelian randomization studies. If you look at the Mendelian randomization studies, people who have genetically low cholesterol, they tend to just live longer because they avoid chronic disease in the first place. So the people in Okinawa, they might just have a genetic advantage over, the American population for longevity. And despite eating, a diet high in meat, that could potentially increase their life expectancy. So there are these issues that you have to keep in mind. So that's why you need actual data. Can you actually provide data that the people who eat more meat in Okinawa tend to live longer?
I told you it's unstudied, and you know that.
Okay, cool. So then you can't reasonably make that claim. You're just making a spurious correlation.
That is fine by me. I told you that's more important to me. So let's just move on from this.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. So where do you want to go from here?
Well, I've been reading the study about the vitamin D, but I just don't see how you came to the conclusion that vitamin D2 somehow helps.
Okay, well,
I'm
it
just
did
reading the
raise
results.
25-hydroxy vitamin D status.
So what the results say?
In the meta-analysis,
So D3 had a significant blah blah blah. Compared
D3
to
was better
D2,
at raising.
but do you understand what it actually says? Like how much it increased?
Okay, well,
How much vitamin D they got out of it? Nothing like that.
Okay, well, the results from the study, I only took a quick glance, but D2 did elevate vitamin D status. It just didn't do it as much as D3. So the conclusion from the study.
Anything, so it could be nothing pretty much.
Wait, sorry, what do you mean?
No, I'm just looking at any kind of numbers. There's just no proof, nothing that it. At the results, at the conclusions.
Okay, let me just
So
scroll.
it could be pretty much nothing, 0.11, 0.001. That's completely irrelevant because we need tons of vitamin D. So how would that help anybody from Finland, Sweden, or anywhere?
Wait, what do you mean?
How could they treat their vitamin D deficiency if we have no proof that how much, even if it could somehow help, which I don't believe, it doesn't even show how much it would help.
Okay, I believe. Okay, so I'm just quickly looking through the study. It's a pretty long paper, but the conclusion of the study was that they recommend cholecalciferol rather than ergocholecalciferol supplementation, just because it seems to be better at improving vitamin D status. So you have to take less of the supplement. Now, the point you were making was that you can't convert plant sources of vitamin D into cholecalciferol, which, obviously you can use plant sources of vitamin D for elevating vitamin D status. I'd have to look through the paper a little more. It's pretty long. I think this would probably be better to discuss later, or just make a video on. I'll probably make a video on this, after the debate.
Yeah, because 99% of the D2 supplements, the plant ones, are made from irradiated vegetable oil. So again, it's just a way to find a molecule that looks similar somehow to vitamin D. So there's just zero proof that any of the supplements work, or that you can convert anything.
Okay, well, the meta-analysis I linked to you,
as far as the study goes, it could be nothing pretty much. It could be 0.001. It would be completely irrelevant because you need lots of vitamin D. So you have absolutely no proof that you can treat a vitamin D deficiency on a vegan diet with supplements. You need animal foods. That's that.
Okay, I think the vitamin D discussion should probably be put on hold just because I don't know enough about vitamin D. I'd have to do more research on the topic.
You lost this one.
Okay, fair enough. Look, I referenced a meta-analysis showing that you can use vitamin D2 to elevate, vitamin D status, prevent deficiency, which you can do. It's just not as effective as D3. As far as I know, there are plant sources of vitamin D3 in the form of cholecalciferol. I'd have to look into how it's produced, because you did mention some things that I just don't know anything about. I don't really have a response prepared. So yeah, I'd rather just either maybe set up another debate about this, or just do a response video after the debate, just going over D3 and shit. Just I just need more time to research the topic.
All right. I would like to also discuss vitamin A.
Okay, sure.
Because I don't know if you've seen my videos about it, the studies that I linked, that there's people who have these genetic mutations, as we talked about in the last debate a little bit, who can't convert to vitamin A. And then you were saying that there's supplements, but again, it's an animal vitamin, and there's no proof that there's any source of it where you could actually get.
So there's vitamin A palmitate, and there's recently a new supplement on the market where they take beta carotene from carrots, and then they add an enzyme to it, which converts it into retinol. And again, in Indonesia, where vitamin A deficiency is widespread because they pretty much only eat rice, they've used vitamin A supplements to treat deficiency. So it is an effective way of treating deficiency. Now, the issue here, Sv3rige,
wait, where's the proof of that?
What?
That they can treat a deficiency.
The proof that you can treat vitamin A deficiency with a vitamin supplement?
Yeah, but of course, because there's no proof the supplements work.
Okay.
You've seen the studies that when you take high doses of vitamin A, that it becomes toxic because those are toxins. There's never been proof that you eat liver, for example, that you have any side effects, because there's only overdoses of synthetic toxic vitamin A, which is not vitamin A because it's an actual toxin, which looks similar to vitamin A because it's a similar molecule. That's it. So you can't treat a vitamin A deficiency with supplements.
Okay, let me see if I can bring up a study on vitamin A palmitate, and I'll see if I can, because you can treat vitamin A deficiency with a supplement. I'll just do a quick search on PubMed, I guess. Let's see. I'm just quickly looking this up. Sorry, just give me a moment. I'm reading the study. Okay. So I found a study where vitamin A palmitate treated vitamin A deficiency. So this is a case
some
report.
kind of supplement. You don't even know where the supplement comes from.
Okay, well, again, I don't know how. Like, I do know that most forms of vitamin A palmitate are vegan.
Those supposed vegan supplements that you're talking about, you have no proof that they work. That's my point.
Okay, well, I'm showing you a case report where it did work to treat vitamin A deficiency. So
what is it called?
Okay, so
it's not going to say what kind of supplement it is, so it's sort of irrelevant.
Yeah, it does tell us what supplement it is. So treatment of vitamin A deficiency, retinopathy with sublingual vitamin A palmitate. So they used vitamin A palmitate. I'm assuming it's in a liquid form. They dropped it underneath her tongue, and it's basically absorbed through the skin. It's sort of like a sublingual B12 supplement. I think they also have sublingual vitamin D supplements. So,
okay, yeah, go on.
Okay, so basically, if you read the study, I'll just say it out loud again. Treatment of vitamin A deficiency, retinopathy with sublingual vitamin A palmitate, and basically she had retinopathy. Let me just quickly Google what that is exactly. I'm assuming it's like night blindness. Retinopathy is any damage to the retina of the eyes, which may cause vision impairment. So this has something to do with blood flow to the eye, and it was caused by vitamin A deficiency. And her vision returned to normal. after supplementing with vitamin A palmitate, sublingual supplement, for 5 months.
Yeah, so where does it say what kind of supplement it is? It's not what
Vitamin
you're
A palmitate.
about. Well, yeah,
Sublingual vitamin A palmitate.
yeah. Even if it is, then it doesn't mean that that's the one that you're talking about, the vegan one.
I just told you it's vitamin A palmitate.
Yeah, I get it.
Right. That's the vegan form of vitamin A. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure every form of
So this is
vitamin
just
A
another
palmitate.
case of you not knowing what you're talking about, same as vitamin D. You just
Okay,
can't say, maybe I
well,
could be wrong,
okay.
maybe blah blah. I don't
Sure.
really care about human health. It's just whatever. It may be, yeah.
Okay, so Sv3rige, this is a case report where a woman had vitamin A deficiency and it was cured with treatment of vitamin A palmitate, which is a synthetic form of vitamin A. So you claimed you cannot treat deficiency with a supplement, and there's a case report where you can.
I'm not even talking about that. That I would have to read. I'm talking about your supposed vegan supplements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just told you, I could be wrong, but I think most, if not all, vitamin A palmitate supplements are vegan. I'd have to look into that, but as far as I'm aware, most, if not all, are vegan. So, okay, Sv3rige, the main issue here is you can talk about like low conversion rates, genetic mutations that make it harder to convert vitamin A, whatever. Do you have any evidence that vegans have a higher rate of vitamin A deficiency compared to meat eaters?
Hasn't been studied.
Okay, so then how can you make that
Totally
claim?
irrelevant, because if you can, I have presented studies that prove that there's people out there. There's 50% of UK women who can't convert beta carotene to vitamin A. If your answer is eat only plants and take pharmaceuticals, then most people would say you completely lost it, because
Okay.
most people still will not want to take medicine. Most people only want to eat food, and vegans live in the delusion that they can get everything from plants, and you can't. I completely proved now that you can't get vitamin A. You can get vitamin. Many people have the genetic mutations. You can get vitamin A, and vitamin D for people who don't live in sunny places. You can't get it. That's it.
Okay, well,
If your answer is take supplements, you lost it, because
okay,
you get
well,
what you need from food.
okay, well, Sv3rige, first of all, you have no evidence that vegans have a higher rate of vitamin A deficiency in the first place.
It
So
generally hasn't been studied. So
okay, well, wait.
do it one way or the other.
It has actually been studied.
They have genetic mutations, right? So if that's been studied, then you can't say that they can get vitamin A if it's not found in plants. It's an animal vitamin. If 50% of UK women can convert it, then they can get it on a vegan diet by eating plants. There's no arguing here.
Okay, so here's a study, dietary intake and nutritional status of young vegans and omnivores in Sweden. You can look that study up. They looked at intakes of these vitamins and minerals, and also status. So they drew blood from these people to look at their serum levels. If you compare so there's a table in the study where they looked at deficiency rates. The deficiency rate between omnivores, vegetarians, and vegans with vitamin A deficiency, it was the same. So,
yeah,
like based on the most recent research available, vegans don't have a higher risk of vitamin A deficiency. You also haven't really shown me any good evidence that, well, you haven't shown me any evidence, you just claimed this, that there are people who cannot convert any pro-vitamin A carotenoids into vitamin A.
So
I'd like to see research on that. And secondly, there are vegan supplements you can take which do work. And it's probably a little safer to take the supplement than eat animal foods, because you can get the dose. You can dose very accurately.
So you never checked out the links that I posted in the last debate we had 2 years ago, because I posted links there. Do you want me to post them now again?
Okay. I don't think there's any point, because I literally can't use Chrome. If you want to screen share,
I'll post the same links again.
Well, Sv3rige, why don't you screen share so that you can just show everyone, and I can also see what you're posting.
Screen share, yeah.
So the issue here is,
I'm simply gonna link it under. If I may copy this video and upload it on my
sure,
channel,
yeah, go
then
ahead.
I will just like last time link it under the video.
Sure, go ahead. But the issue here is, you can talk about, conversion rate issues and whatever. If you don't have any evidence that vegans have a higher rate of deficiency, then you just don't have any argument.
I told you there's there's more studies, but especially the one about the 50% of the UK women, but also another one which checked out men that can't convert it at all. I don't need to have a study testing their vitamin A levels if it's already proven that they can't convert it, because they may still be eating vitamin A from animals. This is how they get it, from animal fat or from liver. And if they would go on a vegan diet, they would eventually die, but they would definitely get sick and show nutrient deficiencies. So
Okay.
I don't need proof that, because you don't need to check their vitamin A levels to know
Okay.
they can
Well,
convert it.
okay. Well, Sverige, I don't know how people normally eat in some of these countries, but I'd be willing to bet the vast majority of vitamin A that people get from their diet, it's from plant foods. It's from conversion of provitamin A carotenoids into retinol, vitamin A.
It doesn't matter what
if-
you're guessing.
So, well, fine. If these people do have this gene mutation that makes it impossible for them to convert provitamin A carotenoids into fully formed vitamin A, then I'd imagine they'd just be at an increased risk of vitamin A deficiency to begin with, because a major source of vitamin A, like they just can't get it. And secondly, I haven't seen higher incidence rates of like vitamin A deficiency in vegans. So this really just isn't a great argument from you.
But this doesn't, just because it hasn't been studied, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, it has been studied. There is a study out of Sweden. It's pretty recent. It's from, oh, is that the same one? Okay, I'm not sure if this is the same one.
But do you understand that vitamin A and B12, for example, also, which are obviously deficient in because you hear voices and you have psychosis and depression, is stored in the liver, which means that as a vegan, you can live off the stores for a while. That doesn't prove anything. If there is proof that women and also men in the other study can convert it at all, and even if you could very little, which is not enough, then that's proof that vegans have a problem and they should not go vegan and eat an unnatural diet.
Okay, well, Sv3rige, why is that an argument against a vegan diet?
Because there is no vitamin A in plants, you know that.
Okay, sure. Okay, so let's give a hypothetical scenario here where, let's say I cannot convert any provitamin A carotenoids into vitamin A. It's impossible. So the only way to get it is from a supplement or through eating animal foods. Why would I want to eat animal foods, and what particular animal foods would you recommend?
Well, most people get it nowadays probably from eggs, because that's the kind of animal fat they eat that's still sort of popular. And pretty much any other animal fat, because most people, as you know, also don't eat liver anymore as they used to. But it's an animal fat. So
Okay.
that's where most people get it.
Okay, so a few issues here. For one, these are all foods that are high in saturated fat and or cholesterol. So I know this is a contentious topic for you, but that will increase my risk of heart disease if I eat those foods.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, you can agree, you can disagree all you want, but I'm just going to, say that as an argument. Secondly, these foods aren't even particularly high in vitamin A, with the exception of liver. Eggs, I think one egg has around 10-ish% of your daily recommended intake of vitamin A. So you'd have to eat 10 eggs in one day to get 100% of your RDA. That's kind of crazy. I could get my RDA for vitamin A from eating one small sweet potato. Obviously,
you have no idea how much you can convert. So because there's no vitamin A in sweet potatoes, right?
Right,
so
correct.
You're just guessing. And my problem is that you're playing around with people's health, because most vegans who are watching this right now, they have no idea that there is no vitamin A in sweet potatoes. They're just absolutely stupid, essentially. They're ignorant about nutrition, and they have no idea that you have to convert pigments to try to get vitamin A, which humans just haven't done.
Okay,
Because
well,
for one thing, you're talking about eating man-made foods, potatoes, which are all cultivated. So you're talking about something that human beings have never been doing. They've been always getting vitamin A from animal foods. So it's just ridiculous to even you're just assuming that somehow you could get it.
Okay, well, Sverige, vitamin A deficiency is extremely rare in modern Western countries, and that's just because of eating a mixed diet of of a wide variety of plant foods that are high in beta carotene and provitamin A carotenoids, and also access to fortified food supplementation. So it's an extremely rare thing to begin with, and you haven't shown me that vegans have a higher risk of deficiency. So you're basically making a assumption about this without any actual research.
Let's just assume that you read the study where people can convert it. Your answer is then eat only plants and take a supplement for them if they can convert it.
Well, yes, and there's two reasons for that. For one reason, the alternative will increase your risk of chronic disease, particularly heart disease, because animal sources of vitamin A, high in saturated fat and cholesterol, among other things you don't want, but that's the main principal concern. And secondly, it's much easier to dose. You're going to know exactly what dose of vitamin A you're taking. You can do it under doctor supervision. With eating food, it can be a little harder to dose.
All right, then we can conclude this debate, because my whole point was that you can't get what you need from a whole foods plant-based diet. It's
Okay,
an nutrition diet. You admitted it twice now with vitamin D, vitamin A. There's many more examples, but I only need 2 examples, so that's it.
Okay, well,
anybody with a brain just saw that I won this debate.
Okay, well, Sverige, before we end, what is the main concern with eating a nutrient-deficient diet? What's the problem with not getting all the nutrition you need?
You mean the symptoms of nutrient deficiencies?
Yeah, so are you saying there's an increased risk of chronic disease and death from not getting all the nutrition you need?
No, and I don't know why you always talk about dying from micronutrient deficiencies. Micronutrient deficiencies cause a lot of symptoms. For example, if babies don't get it, then they simply don't develop as well. I'm all about optimal human health. And you're just kind of, just maybe convert, maybe take the supplement, just kind of, maybe it will somehow work out, blah, blah, blah. I want people to be super healthy, and this is not what you're about. You're about your religion of saving the animals, which you can't, even they die anyway. It's just absolutely pointless, and you don't care about human health whatsoever. I really believe that you hate humans, and I'm pretty sure you've admitted it a few times. But that's
okay. Well, Sverige, didn't you say you want to kill and eat people?
No, I've never. Why do you lie?
No, you made a video where you said you crave human flesh, and when you were hospitalized for anorexia, you said you wanted to kill and eat the doctors.
Yeah, I've seen bits of the video where you lied about me, and you said that I was in the hospital because of what? Because of
sun gazing
or something, even though I was in the hospital because of veganism. Like,
okay,
you completely twisted everything around.
Okay, well,
Sverige, clips together to make me look.
Okay, well, Sverige, in the video that you uploaded, you said you were staring at the sun that made you not want to eat, and then you ended up being hospitalized for anorexia. You didn't mention veganism in there.
It wasn't about anorexia at all. I never had anorexia.
Okay, well, people thought you were anorexic because you were severely underweight.
I can totally understand that.
Okay.
Very underweight.
By the way, there's a rumor going around that you stabbed a bunch of students and attempted suicide when you were in school. And there's a news article with your name in it. Is that actually you who stabbed a bunch of students? Somebody
else's name. This guy, I don't want to name his channel. You can look it up. He made it up. Simply, I don't know from what. So I think pretty sure he was a vegan, because there's a video of me going to actually my school where I went to, and the teachers were welcoming me. And then the comments like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why are the teachers welcoming him? It doesn't make any sense. And then the video is still up. The comments are put on hold. They're deleted. So you can't see the comments that clearly point that out. So it's just bullshit.
Okay, so that's not true. Somebody else stabbed a bunch of students in, I think it was Latvia or something. And they had your name Gotis or something, or Gotis.
Gotis.
Yeah.
It's like Tom and Matt is like the most common name.
Right. Okay. So you didn't do that. I just wanted to ask because that's been going around.
You're just completely changing the subject just
No.
because you pointed out that
Okay, well, you mentioned that I hate humanity, and in one of your videos, you've said that you wanted to kill
you want to
people.
stun babies to death and so on. You
Okay, cool.
many times pointed out how you even
Okay,
I don't know if your wife said it or you that you don't want children.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you want to play video games.
No. So Sv3rige, you mentioned in a few of your videos that one of your video titles was "Serial Killers Are the Real Heroes." I've seen a few of your videos where you basically denounce the idea of human rights. We should live naturally. People should be able to fight and kill each other all they want. Like, you're telling me you love humanity when you're saying these things?
Yeah, absolutely. How are you saying it's contradicting? That's just human nature.
Okay, so it's human nature to want to kill and eat each other?
I never said that.
Okay, so it's human nature.
Making up something.
Okay, well, wait. So you're basically denouncing the idea of human rights, but you're saying you care about humans.
Yeah, of course, because those are man-made. If you care about humans and you follow nature, it's as simple as that. Because you're about malnourishing people and not wanting. You want to give animals rights and take away human rights to eat animals. It's absolutely anti-human.
Okay, well, Sv3rige.
Like, why do you start talking about some other topics now anyway? Just
okay, well, Sv3rige.
Lost the debate and that's it.
Well, Sv3rige, I'll just end this by saying vegans have the lowest risk of chronic disease out of any diet group, and plant-based dieting is associated with longevity, at least in the United States.
Yeah, cool story, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else you wanted to say to wrap up this debate?
Yes, to follow a natural diet, to eat naturally, because vegans will sooner or later understand that they're going to have nutrient deficiencies. I've interviewed many ex-vegans who have this and they get really bad disease that some can't recover from, and supplements do not work. It's a scam by pharmaceutical companies. They are using vegans and making money off you. Get off the supplements. They're toxic. They're literally toxic. Actually, when you take a B12 supplement, you create stress hormones because of the toxicity, and that's why you feel so-called energy. You have no energy, of course, because of the adrenaline, for example. They're toxic. It's so easy to find out. You look at the molecular structure of vitamin C, it's spiky glass under the microscope. Supplements are never going to work. You're eating a nutrient-deficient diet and taking medicine. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, and my concluding statement is a vegan diet reduces risk of most of our most common chronic diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, all cancers combined. It's associated with lower body mass, so lower rates of obesity, hypertension, and it also reduces all-cause mortality risk. The Epic Oxford cohort, the Adventist Health studies, they show that vegans have a lower risk of all-cause mortality compared to meat eaters. And if you look at some of the recent research out of Switzerland, vegans don't really have a higher risk of micronutrient deficiency compared to meat eaters. B12, vitamin A, some of the vitamins Sv3rige mentioned, vegans don't really have a higher risk of deficiency, and that's due to widespread use of supplementation, eating of fortified foods, and vitamin supplements aren't they can be dangerous, particularly fat-soluble ones, and iron supplements, but vegans aren't at higher risk of iron deficiency. And if you absolutely need to take supplements, it's better than the alternative of eating foods that are high in saturated fat and cholesterol, because that's just going to increase your risk of heart disease and other diseases like diabetes, certain forms of cancer. So overall, plant-based nutrition is just a better idea than eating raw animal foods that have been proven to increase risk of chronic disease. There might be some drawbacks to a plant-based diet, like it's harder to get certain nutrients like vitamin D, but you can just take a supplement and avoid heart disease. So that would be my closing statement.
All right. Thanks for your time.
All right, no problem. And I think I'll make a follow-up video to this discussing vitamin D, and maybe we should just have another debate. If I research the topic a little more of these different vitamins, different vitamin supplements, maybe it would be worth another debate just about vitamins in particular.
Yeah, do some research.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, Sv3rige.